So that's basics of concept of haunt design, what you need to be thinking about when you're designing your haunt and painting and doing all the colors and texturing and stuff that you're doing. Now the concepts of lighting and paint design are very different. Lights are made up of 3 colors. White light is 3 colors. Green, blue, and red. It's not primary colors like paint. Paint is yellow, blue, and green. Right? The way paint works is it reflects the colors back at you that you're seeing. I know this is kind of basic for a lot of people, but it's something you need to remember. There was a discussion on cow haunts about a brown paint with red letters over it that would disappear when you shone red light on it. Am I using that? That's the exact effect. Browns will reflect a reddish tone, and depending on the tone of brown that you use, you can actually make the red disappear when you apply red light to it. When you pop a white light on, those bloody letters pop up. It's a good effect. It's a good startle effect because people aren't expecting it. They think it's a regular ho-hum room, and then there's something all around them. And it could be words that make them feel very uncomfortable, like, will you be my sacrifice? How your eyes see color is something you also need to remember. Haunts are dark, usually. Usually you don't have a lot of light in them. Your eyes see by using cones and rods. Rods are what allow night vision. There's a chemical that's produced in the eye that takes 30 minutes to fully acclimate. 30 minutes. So if the outside of your haunt is super bright and they walk into a dark haunt, they're going to be missing a lot of the beginning of the haunt because that chemical hasn't generated in their eyes. It's light sensitive. It disappears with the application of light. Cones see monochromatic. Rods see monochromatic. So your night vision relies on these rods. Now, this is a very crude drawing. I apologize. This is the cornea, lens, inside the eye. Here's the retina. This is the fovea. The fovea is the highest concentration of cones, the ones that see color. There are no rods there. That means you have a blind spot at nighttime, right there. In addition to the natural blind spot you have during the daytime, that's where the optic nerves come in. You have 2 blind spots at night, so you see less at night. You also aren't seeing color. With the application of light in lower levels, you can actually see some of these colors. And they start to expand the more light you apply. But remember, at nighttime, they're going to be missing a lot of detail. So don't spend a huge amount of time working really, really hard on a paint job that's going to disappear because they're all the same tones. Shashank, can you hit lights again? I'm going to show you some stuff with this light box that I made to do for everyone to see. And I'm going to use the walls we used this last year. These are the walls we used for the haunt. That's the technique and texturing and everything that we did. Go ahead. That's full application of 3 colors of light. And I don't have the green in here. If I had the green in here, it would look pretty much all white. Now, if I take the white away, do you see how the brown disappeared? See the brown speckles here? Barely?
Barely.
Yeah. Where'd the brown go? I spent a lot of time doing brown on my walls that I didn't need. Now where'd all the color go? The blood's gone too. See that? Get your Sean back on, please. So lighting can sink your haunt. Color choices can sink your haunt, or at least make it look really bland. So that's one of the things you need to consider. Today, we got 5 panels up here. 3 of them are a beigey tone. One's black, one's gray. I did them in small panels so that you could hang them on the walls when you take them home, and you can do your lighting before you paint an entire wall. See what that effect's going to be. If it's not going to work, you haven't wasted time painting an entire wall. And that's kind of the concept behind it. So we talked a little bit about organic, right? Organic versus geometric. Geometric is hard lines, shapes, things that are easily recognized. Organic are things that have a natural shape to them. Kind of not a rectangle, not a square, but like a flowing pattern. The design up on top of here, this wall, is organic. It's a mold kind of pattern. The texturing on this is kind of an organic. This is actually a monster mud that I spackled on. Some of the texturing and coloring on the bricks is organic, but the grout and the lines are not. They're geometric. The good thing about organic paint jobs is you can hide seams and hide features that you don't want. One of the things that we had is, if you notice over here on this board, there are sections that don't have paint on them. It's because we had hinges there, and we had bolts coming through them. So I took some caulking, covered up those bolts so it wouldn't scratch anybody as they went by, and then painted over it and made it disappear. The paint job made it disappear. Nobody saw this huge lump sticking out at me. Or if they did, I wasn't scaring them well enough. Also want to paint to add textures and designs to your backdrops, and you want to sculpt with paint. This is a concept that's actually really cool to understand. By doing layers of paint, you are actually creating a depth and a design that the eye is going to appreciate and think is more natural and real. The bricks look more realistic because there's 4 or 5 colors of paint on there. Not because I know how to do a geometric shape and can paint things on it, but it's because your eye is appreciating that there's tonal differences. Skin has a variety of colors. Everything has a variety of colors. If you watch a painter work, they don't just paint a chair red. That chair is all sorts of blues and purples and greens and all sorts of different things to add that depth and realism. And that's what we're going to work on today. So we're going to do small group stuff, and we're going to work on 5 stations. Okay, so you can divide up however you want to for your stations. We've got brickwork over here. I'm also hoping that we will be doing some faux plaster effects over here, but I have the actual spackle plaster that I did on that in the woodwork that we're going to do back behind these platforms here. So that's brick, where I'm going to teach you how to do that. I've got tape already cut with cool kind of different edges on them so that they don't look just straight. And you just tape that and you'll mask off your bricks, paint the base coat, let it dry, and then we'll peel it off, and then we'll work on all the other stuff. Wood is pretty much the same concept. You're going to mask off the strips in between the boards, and then we're going to work on dry brush techniques and stuff like that. We're going to do fake wallpaper over here, and we're also going to be doing like moldy plaster walls and working on sponge techniques and stuff like that. And back here, we're going to have peeling paint from concrete, which is this effect here. I like this effect a lot. There's a lot of things that I could do to it to improve it. One of them is not by using a semi-gloss. Semi-gloss reflects light. If you can get flat paints, if you can, do it. If you can mix your semi-glosses with flat paints, that will take it down to like an eggshell level, and that's appropriate for a haunt usually. You won't get a lot of weird reflections. Obviously, one of the things that you're going to work with and have to deal with is that this is OSB board. It's not smooth. It's got a wood grain, with overlapping wood grain particles. Look.
Our kids are getting loud.
People in the halls.
I told them.